Rev up your engines!
Well, I'm laughing my head off. Ford asked their dealers to press pause on their EV investments. They say, well, don't push it out so fast, you know. This is like Tweedledum, Tweedledee going at it, right? First, they told them that they had to sell electric cars. And a bunch of Ford dealers actually opted out. They said, we don't want to put this money into cars that people don't want to buy. And now, the Ford dealers actually said, we'll sell the EVs. Ford's telling them, hold it a while, hold it a while. Don't put a whole bunch of money into it just yet. Because, of course, Ford isn't that dumb. Some of the people there realize, geez, if we push these electric cars in the dealerships, they spend this money and they don't sell any cars. They're going to be mad as hornets. Some of them might even go out of business if they invested enough money into an electric infrastructure for selling and repairing and recharging electric cars, and nobody buys the stupid things. They're screwed, right? So even Ford Motor Company's telling them to, hey, pause this electrification. He's telling this to their dealers. Because, of course, realize one thing. The dealerships are almost all independently owned. They just have a right to sell Ford vehicles. It's their money that's invested in it, or the money they borrowed from the banks, right? It's their business. It's not Ford's business. Ford doesn't sell cars direct like Tesla sells them direct. They sell them through dealerships. They got a little setup. And now they're telling dealerships, well, hold back a little on these electric cars. Maybe we'll wait a little bit longer. It's starting to spiral now. The stone is rolling down the mountain. It's building up speed. And all this electrification nonsense is going to be eventually down in the valley where people are going to be looking up thinking maybe 20, 30 years from now, they'll go back up to a peak where people actually want these things, but nah, not now. Hypocrisy reigns supreme. Here we go. Biden to release 1 million barrels of gasoline to reduce the prices at the pump ahead of the 4th of July. All right, so you think, oh, what a great gesture. A whole million. You know how much we use? Look at this. The United States consumes 20 million barrels of oil a day. 20 million barrels a day, baby, and they're releasing 1 million. Let's see what happens this 4th of July. It's still a month and a half away, so we'll see what happens. If you remember, Rockefeller, the original Rockefeller, he had a real problem with his image, right? So he hired the first PR man, basically in American history. And the guy says, carry buckets of dimes and throw dimes at people. He did. And the people went wild. They had dimes that they could pick up, right? Well, this isn't even dimes. This is like fractions of pennies they're throwing at us now. Maybe they need to bring back the Roman circus with gladiators, you know, to appease the masses so the corporations can make all the money, but the masses will be happy seeing their gladiators. Oh, wait a second. There already is an NFL. I guess it's already happened. It's just got a different name, you know? Appease the masses while we steal everything while you're not looking because you're watching the football game on TV. Or in this case, oh my, what a nice guy. Man, he's releasing 1 million barrels. 1 million barrels. Yeah, we use 30 million per day. 1 million? That's like spitting on us. Joe, you're spitting on us, baby. You know, we're not that dumb. Maybe you don't know what the heck's going on anymore. Anybody with a brain realizes 1 million barrels isn't going to do squat compared to what we use in this country. I mean, it's just a joke. It's like everything with the politicians. You know, everything's just form over function. It's got to look good, baby. Maybe it's not going to really change anything, but hey, it looks good. Finally, a truck that makes sense. Here's this big old semi-truck. It's a Kenworth Super Truck 2, and it is a streamlined and partially hybrid vehicle. Finally, somebody's realizing you can't make an electric battery truck. The range wouldn't be anything. It would cost a fortune. The batteries are only going to last so long. It would take forever to charge them up, right? Kind of like Toyota. They didn't throw all their money. They built one crappy electric car, right? But then they're selling millions of hybrids, and everybody's making hybrids now. Well, this is a hybrid, big old diesel semi. And the hybrid thing is interesting. It's a mild hybrid. So instead of having air conditioning and power steering and the fans running off of all mechanical stuff that takes a lot of energy, it's got electric power steering, it's got electric fan that works off the hybrid system, it's got electric air conditioning compressor. And so, not only is it saving energy that way, but it saves both the air and noise pollution, because with this hybrid system, the truckers can now sleep, and the hybrid battery can make the heat or air conditioning run, and they don't have to keep the diesel engine running while the guys are sleeping. Now that, to me, makes sense. Work at it gradually, right? Now, as you can see, it's extremely streamlined, so it gets better fuel mileage because it has less friction in it. It says it has a 48% reduction in drag because it's all streamlined. And this makes sense. These diesel trucks, let me tell you something. They're not going to disappear anytime soon. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to move that stuff around. Only something like diesel you can do it. Of course, you could use gasoline, but gasoline is much less efficient. Gasoline engines with big loads. You'd think battery electric trucks are a joke like I do. They can't go that far. Well, gasoline-powered big diesel trucks couldn't either because the diesel is more efficient for pulling heavy loads. If you had gasoline giant semis, believe me, they'd be using so much fuel. They would use 2 to 3 times as much fuel as the diesel ones do. That's why they're diesel. That's the only reason they're diesel, right? Because they get better fuel mileage than a gasoline truck would pulling all that weight. Finally, Kenworth. Somebody comes up with an idea. Let's make a hybrid streamlined truck. Let's not waste our money on battery electric trucks that aren't going to go far, like old Elon's, the ones that had the Pepsico and they had these fake tests. We went 450 miles, yeah, and you had 3 trucks. 2 of them were towed by a diesel flatbed, so when the battery went out, you could run the other one, and during that 450-mile test, only like 15 miles or something were at 65 miles an hour. The rest was the slower speeds because battery electric vehicles don't work that good at higher speeds. They drain faster because of extra strain. So, hey, a hybrid diesel, that makes sense. Well, Elon Musk broke another promise. Not only does this thing not full self-drive, and the Tesla Cybertruck was going to be under 40 and it's $100,000, but for you gamers, no new Teslas are going to ship with support for streaming games. Ooh, now you can't stream games in his cars. To me, at least that's a logical thing. Do you want people streaming games while they're driving a car, even though it's supposed full self-driving, right? So, I can play a game. I don't have to watch the road, right? Whether no comment from Elon, of course, he never comments. Their company never comments on anything. Whether it was because it was pushback from the people saying this is dangerous, you shouldn't sell that to people, or it costs the money for that and he wants to cut all the costs. Maybe eventually he'll sell his Teslas without even wheels. Well, you got to buy your own wheels. You know, they don't come with wheels, right? But no more gaming. Another Elon Musk promise has been broken. Stream support was a big thing for Tesla years ago. Old Elon lauded all that capability when it rolled out in 2022. But now they're not rolling out with it. No more game playing, right? Elon's serious. No more game playing here. We must be serious. I mean, it's hilarious. You know, all the stuff this guy claims, none of it came to fruition. He said by last year, there were going to be 1 million of his cars out there driving people around, making you money, and that all of your Teslas would be worth at least $100,000 because people want to buy them more and more and bid the price up because it'll make money for you. You can buy a car that drives itself and drives people around. Well, of course, that didn't come to fruition, right? The guy lives in fantasy land. I think he needs to change his prescription to something that puts him more in the real world. We'll see what happens with it. The $55 billion or whatever it is that they wouldn't give him in the court in Delaware that he's trying to get the people to vote for. Now, why would you vote to pay this guy all this money? I mean, really, companies in some dire straits now. They could use that $45 billion for something better than putting it in his pocket. Well, here's one you'd have to see to believe. Italy seizes 134 Fiats over an illegal Italian flag. It turns out they have an electric car. It's called the Fiat Topolino. It's a tiny little electric car based on a Citroën. Now, the problem is the Topolino isn't built in Italy. It's built in Morocco. And they have a little Italian flag they put on the inside of the door. You can't do that unless it's made in Italy, according to Italian law. Under Italian law, you can't put an Italian flag on a product that's not made in Italy, even if it's an Italian company. Kind of reminds me of my Triumph Thruxton. You think, oh, Triumph Thruxton, English, it's got British flag picture on it and stuff, right? Well, it's made in Thailand. That's where their factory is, right? So they're kind of sneaky about that. In England, I guess, if they don't have laws like that, right? But the Italians, they want something made in Italy, you can't put an Italian flag on it, even though it's a Fiat. So, the Italian authorities seized 134 of these Topolino because they had Italian flags on them, and that's illegal. Maybe they're going to paint over the Italian flags. I don't know. The suspense is just killing me. And there is the ridiculous-looking little thing. They'll never sell them in the United States because the things can only go 28 miles an hour and have a range of, they claim, 46 miles. So, kind of like a golf cart, right? But you can't put that Italian flag on it because they're made in Morocco. Frank L. says, my fuel pump fuse keeps blowing when I refuel. It's a Nissan 2019 NV200. If it only happens when you refuel the car, I'm thinking it's something to do with your anti-pollution system, your evap system. It keeps the vapors, the gasoline, when you fill it up, instead of going to the atmosphere, it goes to the charcoal canister, evap vent valve. I would first check the evap vent valve, okay? That's electronic. If it was shorting out, it could pop your fuel pump fuse, right? The only other thing would be you got some kind of an electric short. When your tank is full, the extra pressure of the gasoline is pushing on the fuel pump, making it internally short out. So you might need a new fuel pump. They're relatively expensive on those things. You didn't say how many miles you have. I can tell you right now, like if it's real high mileage, got high mileage on it, you're probably going to need a fuel pump. If it pops that fuse, it's a reasonably big fuse, and all the weight of the gasoline pushing on the pump, which is in the bottom of the tank, could short it out. And that's probably what it is. It's probably the pump is internally shorting out. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.